Okay, Shalom, Shalom. Kwam Yasha'Allah, Koholoim La Yahweh, Bahashim Yahawashi, Bahashim Rakahakutash. Double honors to our apostles and elders of Great Millstone who rule well and that by the Spirit taught us this beautiful truth. And just want to say the water to all the Akim and Akwaf that's out here sincerely keeping the laws, statutes, and commandments of Yahweh Bahashim Yahawashi to the best of their ability. This is Yachanan Nawaf, just coming at you with another quick lesson, praying that it's edifying by the Spirit. And this is a lesson I done yesterday. I actually had to like pretty much delete it because Esau, you know, with the bullshit, said that it was copyright, which I never even played any videos or anything. So you know, that's just them, you know, ass hurt about information coming out against them. Because I asked the AI Perplexity app, did slave owners chop off the toes of slaves to keep them from running away? And of course, you know, it said yes. You know, they tried to front, you know, like it wasn't an everyday thing, which I can imagine, you know, because I'm sure a lot of Jake were afraid to run, you know, because they seen the kind of ass whippings that Jake was getting. They seen Jake getting his back beat in. They seen the tarring and feathering of our you know, bigger men, you know what I'm saying, being buck raped and all this other shit. You know, they seen the tortures of Esau, and they saw how torturous Esau could be. So in a lot of senses, you know, the women, of course, you know, they were most definitely afraid. Some of them rebelled, you know, but they, you know, were generally beaten directly into submission. And generally the whippings, you know, just seeing the hangings and things of that nature, Jake was generally just servants. You know, they tried to do the best that they could to stay out of trouble, so to speak, with the master. But you know, Esau, he has that perpetual hatred, and he likes to use Jake as a punching bag. He needs something to, you know, he has a bloodthirst. He has that perpetual hatred towards Jake. And then, you know, he's a cunning hunter too. You know, he likes to kill. He has to see blood. He has to, you know, do something that's his way of getting off. You know, his way of getting off is not, you know, dealing with a woman, you know, and relieving stress. He likes to put the screws to Jake. But it wasn't common, but it was a thing that was done. And it just dawned on me when I was at the gym yesterday. And I thought about I was listening to a lesson, kind of reminded me of who they call Kunta Kinte in the movie Roots. Then they had the series, but in the movie Roots, they had James, well, we call him James Evans, John Amos, I think is his name, that played James Evans, the father on Good Times with JJ. He played the part of grown Kunta Kinte. You know, he kept trying to run away, and eventually, you know, they ended up cutting off his toes. I remember that scene. It was a gruesome scene. Yep. So it's definitely, it's in here that it actually happened. So they cut off the toes. You know, it's hard to run, boy, without them toes. You ain't going nowhere. Them toes are very important to running and very important to walking, but you can still walk without toes, but you're not running nowhere without no damn toes. Those toes are very, very important to digging into surface and actually pushing off to actually run. So it says, yes, in some cases, enslaved people who repeatedly tried to escape were mutilated, including having toes or parts of feet amputated. So they could have been hitting any part of your feet, man, to discourage further flight. Yep, so it says it wasn't a universal routine everywhere, but it did happen as part of a brutal punishment under slavery. So, yeah, this is shit that Esau was doing, and, you know, you got camps that's out here really believing that these people are going to make the kingdom and that they should be in the kingdom. They're going to just be handed. They get to treat you like shit for 1,000 years, and they get to come directly into the kingdom, and everything is just, you know, all playtime. You know, we're all, you know, just gloriously under the Lord. You know, preaching in the name of idolatrous white Jesus. No, these people are going to have to pay for what they've done, man. It's clear. It's all throughout the scriptures. It's that Revelation 13:10. It says, he that leadeth into captivity shall go into captivity. He that killeth with the sword must be killed with the sword. Here's the patience and the faith of the saints. And I went into it yesterday too, going off into how the Lord is a true balance. He's a balanced power. So when who they ignorantly call Jesus, Yahushua comes, he's going to have a kingdom. The scripture says that he's coming to take many crowns. Whose crowns are he's going to be taking? You think that America's still going to be in power and they're just going to be sitting down at a G20 summit meeting and, the Lord is sitting across from them and negotiating with them? No, those people are going into captivity, man. They're going to be subjects to the Lord. Because again, with the Lord, there's balance. You can't have slave without master. You know what I'm saying? Or master without slave. It doesn't work that way. It doesn't. It just doesn't work that way. It's a lot. So they're telling you that everybody is just going to be hand in hand, Chinese people, Japanese people, white people, you know what I'm saying? All in the name of sweet white baby Jesus. It's just not going to work, bro. That shit don't even make no sense. But our people have been indoctrinated and they're actually blind, because Jake, we have to appreciate actually being awakened to this truth. Appreciate that, man. You know what I'm saying? Because our people are super duper blinded, man. And the Lord actually has them in that state of mind, that state of blindness, man. It's a bad state to be in because they're going to be destroyed because they believe in an idol. They really believe in an idol. They believe an idol is actually coming back to save them, man. The very enemy that have you all fucked up as a nation of people, they're supposedly coming back to save you out of the very situation that they're putting you in. It's crazy, bro. And again, you got what used to be Sakari. They all broke apart. Now you got these Genesis characters. They're talking about how, all the other nations, because we already know they've been paid off. They had to take a bag. Them dudes is too studious, to had going back to the bullshit that they pretty much returned to their vomit. They were too studious. Some dudes was. And a lot of the times too, you go into making of many books, they was into a lot of books, but at the same time too, they were just too studied, so to speak, for them to actually go back to thinking that, the Lord's name is not Yahushua anymore, the Lord, I don't know what they call the Father now, but the true names of the Father and Son is Yahweh and Yahushua. And I just find it, that, with the debates that they used to have, and they be on the streets and highways and byways cutting into Esau and telling them that they're going into captivity. Now all of a sudden the Lord's name is not Yahushua, and all these people that you were getting on in the highways and byways, letting them know that they were going into slavery. Now all of a sudden, nope, I was wrong. You're not going into slavery. We're all one people. The Lord loves you too. So that's not the truth of the gospel, man. These people are going to have to pay. See, the reason why all this was going on, this is very brutal, man. It says, historical sources also note other controls, such as whippings, branding, ear cropping, chains, and iron collars. And that goes off into Deuteronomy chapter 28. Those collars, man. You when you pull up Deuteronomy chapter 28, and it goes off into, we will go into slavery to our enemies, and we will be under these iron masks, basically these iron collars, where you couldn't escape. They were long collars. If you pull it up, you see it on Google. They would if you tried to run, you would get entangled within the trees, or you would get entangled within the bushes. It was hard to run with shit like that on them. And I think they had bells on them, where they can hear you clinkling along, you know what I'm saying, so to speak. So they had us in that captivity. They have to go into captivity as well, because they're starting to see the awakening of the children of Israel. And it's something that they can't stop because it's prophetic. So now you got Trump. You have to find it interesting that Trump is over there in China, which I was watching the elder earlier this morning, Yashawamba, and he was going off into how Edom or Esau and Moab, biblically, they've always been together. so to speak. Because that's Moab that's over there in China. Those are not Chinese people. But when you go into the scriptures, even in the Song of Moses, you know, they were always, and then when you go into, you know, King David, you know, where it talks about Moab is my washpot, and Edom, you know, they were always together in some sense, man, when it came to the attacks and the trying to taking down of the Israelites, man. So Trump, an Edomite, going over there to deal with Chi or X, you know, and him taking all those billionaires over there, you know, the CEO of MasterCard, CEO of Visa, and all these tech guys, the same people that he was supposedly had gotten rid of, you know, when he got elected, he said he was going to drain the swamp, but those very people are there. He took them people on Air Force One, all went to China over there, and what do you think they're doing? You think he took them to just go over there and just be these advisors? Like they don't have anything to do with politics. Nobody even elected these people. They're there to check out that system of how how Moab, the so-called Chinese, are actually in control of billions of people. Because America is not in control of these 340 million that they got. They trying to figure out, how is it that you went from basically planting rice and riding bicycles to this superpower that you are today, and how you have all your people under subjection, under surveillance constantly, got them in order, have them in, you know, with digital ID, so to speak. How did you do it? You don't think that they don't want to know that? They want to know that, man. Because they're going to come down with that same thing here. And then at the same time, too, same day, you got so-called King Charles, another fucking Edomite with them fat-ass fingers. He's talking about digital IDs for the citizens, you know, to you know, be able to, you know, get public services, so to speak. So we're in the end of this thing, man. So and Esau, he wants to come up with a perpetual slavery, man. Instead of putting one of them big ass collars on your damn neck with the bells on it, he wants to you know, put a damn computer chip in your ass where he can actually really control you for real. You know, he wants to turn you Israelites into a perpetual slave, because they understand the kingdom of David. They understand when our forefather David was in power, how he ran things and how we were over them. And that's how our king Solomon, you know, had those 40 years of peace as well, you know, because we were ruling over them, and they understand that. So see, don't think that these people don't know that history. They know that history. And so while they try and make it seem as if, you know, America and China is such rivals and they hate each other, we're enemies, that's shit to throw you off as a people. They want you to think that. In the meanwhile, in the backdrop, they working everything out because this system is going to be for everyone. It's not going to just be, you know, for just us, you know, so to speak. It's going to be for everyone, really. But really, in reality, they want it to really be for you Israelites. They really want you Israelites to stay, you know, in subjection to them, man. So they have what other punishments were used against runaway slaves? Where did drapetomania myth come from? Now, drapetomania, they said that this guy, I can't think of his name, he said when slaves ran away, it was because they were mentally ill. They had a sickness. And that's the name that he called it. They were sick. Because why would they want to run away? This is the kind of wickedness that Esau has pushed. You know, like, why would somebody want to run away from a motherfucker that's, you know, castrating people or whipping your back in or hanging you and burning you and doing all these different things? Like, he's sick because he would want to run away from that. But that's Esau, man, and his pseudoscience. You have to understand who we're dealing with. This is a very wicked ass man. So now he's starting to be revealed in these last days, and they know that they have but a short time, so they're going to come down with great wrath, man. So I'm pretty much about at my destination. Just wanted to just chop it up real quick. You know, I had to delete the videos yesterday because they put the little copyright on, and I ain't even play a video. I just pretty much done what I'm doing now. I did go into YouTube because I wanted to kind of like see if they had at least a still of the way that they cut his toes off in that movie, because that shit was gruesome. but they didn't. I never even played a video. So I had to, again, delete those videos. So I'm just gonna, upload this just to just give you a little bit of history on, how Esau was getting down. Esau was getting down out here, man. Esau was getting down. It's fucking people, bro. Esau was getting down on us, man, real cold. So, and they're really afraid of us coming back into power because they know what's gonna happen to them. They already know it's not gonna end well. It's not gonna fare well for them, man, with all the shit that they've done to us, man. They know full well that we're gonna get their asses back, man. But at the same time, too, the Lord has placed it on them to fight, to try and fight and keep and stay in power, and keep us under wraps, man. So with that, I'm gonna end out. I'm at my destination. I pray that the lesson was edifying. Kwam Yasha Allah and a Baba Boy.